Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols, and I'm here to bring you your Nichols Worth, and today we're going to talk about my top 10 favorite single column Bibles. Now what I tried to do is go ahead and include as many translations as possible, so I've got a few honorable mentions that I really like that I didn't put in the top 10 because again I tried to be really diverse with the translations so you can see a lot of options. So let's go ahead and start off with the King James. I absolutely love this from Thomas Nelson. This is the single column end of verse reference King James Bible, and you can see it set up in its normal verse by verse format. It has some notes on the bottom, and then at the end of each verse is where it gives you those references, and you can see them scattered throughout the page underneath every few verses, and that gives you either another place in the Old Testament where it's referenced or another place in the New Testament where it's referenced. This one is a red letter edition, but it does seem to have really nice dark red letters. So King James single column end of verse reference, that is my tops when it comes to the King James Version. Now, the NASB 2020 and the NASB 95, these are both going to be the same layout from Lockman, so you'll recognize this as the SCR. And I love these because they are well out of the gutter. They're in that single column verse by verse format with really nice bold verses. Every time there's a new paragraph, you can see a bold verse number there. And the thing I really like about this is that it gives you your references on the top and then your textual footnotes on the bottom, so they're nice and separated. I almost went with this one, which is the single column reference from Zondervan, but the reason I didn't is because they have the notes and references kind of evenly dispersed out and they're not separated like they are in the Lockman edition. So that's why this one gets left out, but it definitely gets an honorable mention. Of course, with the NASB 2020, we're going to have the exact same layout. This one's rebound by Redbird. Really nice rebind, and you can see same layout, verse by verse. It has the same format. This one, the gutter's a little tight because this is a new rebind that hasn't been broken in yet, but you can see each paragraph has a bold verse number. You got your references on the top, your notes on the bottom, beautiful dark layout, just excellent. All right, with the NET, there's not a whole lot to choose from. They did have an early single column reference that I didn't really like, but this Timeless Truths is really cool. It has your advantages of a single column verse by verse layout, and then it has quotes or commentaries from early church fathers and different church historians throughout history. Really cool. This is pretty much an update of the ancient modern Bible, just using the NET as its base. I also love the goffered edges on this. Really cool. Really like the accent stitching. This is very well done. Now when it comes to the NIV, this is going to be the NIV side column reference Bible. And as you can see, it's in a nice paragraph format, and it has your notes and references on the outside. This to me is the best when it comes to the NIV. I like the updated comfort print versus the old one because they used to have one called the Heritage, but it had the older comfort print, and I just didn't like that. Although it's a nicer layout, this has definitely got the nicer print. I love the blue accents, just really pretty and nice. And of course it has the notes and references mixed together like the NASB does from Zondervan. So I do wish they would separate those out, but still a very nice layout in the NIV with those beautiful blue accents. This one was rebound by Lion and Lamb. When it comes to the NLT, you're going to have the NLT Select. The NLT Select, I really wish they'd come back out with this, but this has your notes on the bottom. It has your references on the side, so they're nice and separated. Really love that. This one happens to be a thumb tabbed edition, and then when you get into like the Gospels and the story format, you can see it's laid out a little bit differently than the poetry, because the poetry, you see it has that right justified, makes the sentences a little wonky to where this looks a little more justified and nice. So this is a great layout for the NLT and the best. Too bad this is no longer in print. They really need to bring this back in print. From the New King James, now I'm going to show you 3 New King Jameses, but this one is actually coming out in the Premier collection. This was rebound by Flourish Bibles, really well done. Love the goffered edges. I hope they keep that with the Premier collection. But what I love about this, it's in a verse by verse format, and it has the references and notes on the inside column, so it keeps this well out of the gutter. One thing about this is the red letters are decent, but they can be a little light in spots. But I cannot wait to see the Premier collection of this with the 36 GSM paper. Again, I hope they keep those goffered edges. This is just an absolute beautiful layout, and this one's actually still in print. Honorable mention for the New King James is the single column reference. The trouble is with this one is it makes the gutter a little tight. That's why I couldn't include it in the top 10. I wish they'd just go ahead and get rid of this margin space, which doesn't have a lot of use. Shift this on out. That way you can get rid of that gutter. I do like the red accents. I love the fact that the words of Christ are in black in this one. Really nice layout, just a little bit unfortunate with the gutter. I almost included this New King James instead of the inside column reference verse by verse in my top 10, but it's no longer in print. And it's really a bummer because this is a paragraph format with the inside column references and the notes on the bottom. Absolutely stunner of a layout, just gorgeous. Love the typeset. Even with the words of Christ in red, they are so nice and dark. This paper is 36 GSM. Just absolutely beautiful. Thomas Nelson, bring this back. I believe people will buy in this time. This is an amazing layout. This would have been in my top 10 if it was still in print. Okay, now going with the ESV. I love this one. There is a bigger version of this put out by Allen, but I like this one because it's lightweight, it's compact. And this is the ESV Personal Size Reference Bible. It's got a little bit of a smallish font, but they put the references on the inside and they put the notes on the bottom. Now those references do get eaten up by the gutter, but for your reading experience, it pulls that text well out of the gutter. I can handle my references being in the gutter as long as I can kind of work with it and see them because it really pushes that text out. This is an excellent layout and a nice compact size. Now, this actually isn't my favorite single column CSB, but I included it in the top 10 because it's probably the best one. And the reason is, number one, it has a beautiful poetic format, but when you get into the prose settings or the paragraph format, you can see it has those beautiful red accented verses. You got plenty of margin space where the gutter is nice and wide. You got your notes on the bottom. In the New Testament, it does have some references here and there referencing to the Old Testament, but this is largely not a reference Bible. Words of Christ are in black. This is just beautiful from front to back. Love the red accents. And then also at the beginning of each book, it has just a nice little floral design there. Just excellent. This is nice 36 GSM paper, so just absolutely beautiful. Line matched. Really, really love this single column. But my actual favorite, and the reason I didn't include it in the top 10 is because it has the same problem with many personal size. This is the single column large print personal size Bible. And you can see that it just gets way down in that gutter. They've fixed it a little bit by shifting this out, but there's really no getting a large print, single column, and personal size and not having gutter issues. So that's just the price of this one. This is my favorite one. I really wanted to include it in the top 10, but I just can't because of the gutter issues. But again, this is my favorite. All right, now moving into the LSB. And you know where we're going with this. This thing is a tank. The ESV also has one about this size, as I mentioned earlier. I would love to see the LSB come out with one of these in a personal size. But what you have here is a nice large print, your references on top, your notes on the bottom. Beautiful, dark font, just gorgeous layout. Really love this verse by verse format. It also gives you your bold verse numbers so you can know when a new paragraph begins. See, when a Bible is in a verse by verse format, it's difficult to indicate where the paragraphs start. Some translations will indicate with a pilcrow. It looks like a little backward P, and it lets you know that that's when a paragraph begins. I like this subtle method of using a bold verse number because it doesn't get in the way. But this, absolutely amazing. So those are my top 10 single column layouts in every translation I was able to include. There is also an NRSV that is single column, and it's from the Premier collection in Zondervan. I don't believe that one is in print anymore, but it also utilizes that same outside column referencing system you see in the NIV and you see in the NASB 1995. So let me know, what are your favorite single column layouts? Tell me in the comments. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.